Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video. And 2024 saw probably, I think, the most nerfs ever in Hearthstone history, like over 90. And I saw a Reddit thread going over, I can't believe Painter's Virtue has never been nerfed, which is actually pretty surprising. Handbuff Paladin's been really good all year, and like everything else got nerfed that was good all year, somehow avoided it. But I wanted to go over some of the cards throughout Hearthstone's history that were just always really darn good, and a lot of times people would have liked to see them get nerfed that just never got nerfed and have yet to be touched to this day. The rules around this list is there had to be no like dust refund for the card, because there's like, you know, Gen and Baku technically were never nerfed, but they rotated earlier. There was some dust for it, so we're not going to include that. So again, share your picks in the comments down below, but I'll give a bunch of mine. And if you enjoy the content on the channel, feel like I've earned your subscription, please hit that sub button down below, give the video a like, so we're on the road to 90,000 subscribers. So yeah, Painter's Virtue, I think absolutely warranted on the list. I'm not going to put like Ethereal Oracle. You know, that card's only been out for like, what, a month? But yeah, I want to go over some more historical ones, starting off with one of the cards that technically got a little bit changed. There was like an animation sped up to make it faster. They also like limited the battle cries, I think, to like 30 or something. But overall, there's never been a dust refund for Shutterwalk, and he is just, to this day, an incredible powerhouse in Wild, not Standard. When he was in Standard, he was incredible there, repeating those battle cries, and I have seen countless requests begging for this card to be nerfed. He's not quite as, you know, dominant in Wild these days, but still like tier 2, tier 3, absolutely playable. And yeah, he has never been nerfed after all those years. Like, you wonder if you'll ever get the once per game, but at this rate, I don't see that happening. Speaking of, you know, shaman cards in general, Tunnel Trog, this card was an absolute terror once it was released in the League of Explorers. 1 mana, 1/3, whenever you overload, gain 1 attack per locked mana crystal. So you got like the Flame Wreath Faceless, the 4 mana 7/7, which I'm not putting on this list because that card, it was okay, but it was what, Tunnel Trog. All of a sudden I have like a 3/3 Tunnel Trog or a Totem Golem or a Feral Spirits, and this card would just win games on turn 1. This is back before Rush, before we had like a lot of cheap early like efficient removal back in the game, and Shaman Stone was a legit thing for such a long time in Standard, and a big part of it was just Tunnel Trog on 1. It was like Mana Worm on 1 for quite a while, right? Like, they liked, at the time, they really liked their Snowball 1-drops. They, you know, even the Undertakers of the world, that did get nerfed. But yes, Tunnel Trog never got hit, and it was one that I thought absolutely would at some point, and he never ever did. And honestly, I don't remember the last time I've seen anyone play this card in Wild, because it's just, yeah, just not good enough anymore. Another one that is like the bane of people's existence right now in Wild is Iceblock, the made secret that allows your hero, after they take fatal damage, to go immune, effectively buying you an extra turn. And now with the way the game has progressed, you're able to get multiple ice blocks and just be an absolute pain in the butt. And I will mention cards like Objection or Oh My Og are cards that just drove me crazy, still do to this day. Not one secret ever in Hearthstone history has been nerfed. Ever. It's not happened. There's never been a dust refund on a secret. There's never been anything changed on them. And I'm wondering, when will that change? I think Iceblock is the most likely candidate. One day, maybe. Getting, in my opinion, it should be twice per game. You run 2 ice blocks. You should be able to get those 2 ice blocks. But overall, never been changed. And definitely one of the most loathed cards of all time. I guess speaking of loathed cards of all time, at least by me, I'm like a certified Shadowstep hater, but yeah, Shadowstep never been changed. Prep got changed. That used to give -3 mana, by the way. Could you imagine? But yeah, Shadowstep, returning a friendly minion to your hand, it costs 2 less, has never been nerfed. It has been the focal point of countless countless rogue decks have definitely contributed to a ton of other cards being nerfed. You'll note a lot of cards on this list have like got other cards nerfed, like Shadowwalk got Serenite Chain Gang nerfed, for example, back in the day. But yeah, Shadowstep has never been hit. I actually pretty much have never really pitched for it to be nerfed. I just want it out of standard, but overall, yeah, never been nerfed. Originally in the beta, like early beta, this was just 0 mana, return a friendly mint to your hand. They didn't give a discount, and if they ever did nerf it, you think, yeah, maybe it would just be that. But overall, yeah, it's still around in standard, probably till the end of time. Will it keep this text till the end of time? I don't know, probably, pretty likely. It seems to be unnerfable at this point. And although they're still in standard, I just gotta say, the Titans, like a lot of the class Titans, whether it's a Primus, whether, Minard, just a ridiculous card. It's a Reno, no condition other than I guess I have to have 10 mana, or a refresh, you get a 5/7, a 5/5. Agramar's been great in Hunter all along. You know, they're not all amazing. Organon's like whatever. Amethyst is incredible. Amenful literally running the aggro decks just because it's so insanely strong. Voltron, yeah, not amazing, but honestly, it's because Rogue just doesn't play for board. If they did, Voltron would actually be pretty darn good. Golganeth, one of the, if not the best Titan out there. And Sargeras, you know, that cheating it out, it got Symphony of Sin's nerf, but overall itself didn't get nerfed, and Khazgroth actually got buffed. The only Titan to get nerfed is Yogg twice, the neutral one, but yeah, the class Titans, not one single one has ever been nerfed, and it's kind of surprising, I guess. They're big minis that feel relatively fair. Golganeth was like the one I thought maybe would go to 7 at some point, or maybe Amenthul to 8, but overall, not nerfed. And for considering how powerful and how good they are, I will say the complaints around cards like this, pretty minimal. I gotta give a thumbs up for not nerfing them because honestly, I think it was probably the right call. One of the best cards back in the day after Kobolds and Catacombs launched was Skull of the Minard. This was unbelievably good. You coin this on 4 or play it on 5, and then you're summoning Void Lords and Doom Guards and cubing them and facelessing them, and it definitely made it very worth running weapon removal, so there was some type of counterplay to the card. But yeah, you didn't have that, you were losing to this unless you killed them. Like, this was one of those kind of just win the game cards basically back in the day, and I was always wondering, would it get, you know, changed to like 6 or something like that? But overall, never got nerfed. It's definitely not been relevant and mild in ages, but for quite some time, this was one of the best cards in all of Hearthstone, and definitely pretty iconic looking back at it. And speaking of legendary weapons, Kingsbane, another card never nerfed. I thought maybe it would lose a durability at some point or go to like 2 mana. It got like the lifesteal weapon nerfed. It got raiding party nerfed. I think it even got prep nerfed because it was too good with raiding party. There was a bunch of changes around this card, but it's never changed. This infinite weapon that always keep enchantments, and it's one of the more beloved cards out there. People love Kingsbane. I liked the more degenerate version, which had like the Valera and Cold Light, like you infinite mill and lifesteal. Super toxic, so of course I enjoyed it. And yeah, Kingsbane never been nerfed, and again, pretty much okay with that. It's just a pretty rad card. Play wild these days, you know about this card, and that is Void Touched Attendant, the 1 mana 1/3 priest minion of both heroes. Take 1 extra damage from all sources. It should just read 1 mana. If I play this on turn 1, I win the game. Like, this pushes so much damage in aggressive decks. It's got 3 health, it's hard to remove, and it's been an absolute juggernaut in aggro decks since the day it's been put into the game in, oh my goodness, my favorite expansion, United in Stormwind, right? And it's just one of those where I think there's a good chance this card could be nerfed within the next year or so, because Shadow Priest has just been so unbelievably good and wild for so long. Aggro decks typically get that pass and wild, but at some point you might think it'll, you know, something's got to give. But yeah, one of the best cards out there ever for like a 1-drop. It's definitely on that all-time 1-drop list, and it's never been nerfed, unlike the mana worms of the world, right? Like, it's a pretty damn nasty one, and I don't know if it'll stay on this list forever. I'll just put it that way. Speaking of 1-drops, animated Broomstick from Skullman's Academy, the 1 mana 1/1 rush Battlecry. You gave all your other minions rush, so you have 6 other minions on the board. You could technically give them all rush. This card would allow like crazy death rattle trading and absolutely still sees play to this day in Wild, particular the Demon Seed. And I'm just like, for 1 mana, it just seemed absurd. I'm like, for sure, someday it'll at least go to 2, or like a lot of people thought it should be like adjacent minions. And then we got the 3 mana version recently that does adjacent minions, and it's like so much worse than this. Reverse power creep, right? But yeah, never got it. I always thought at some point it would, and yeah, did still really good, and I doubt it ever will at this point. It's never gonna be an outlier in Wild unless there's some crazy rush combo from something that comes up. But overall, yeah, it's probably staying on this list for quite some time. And Lotheb, one of the oldest cards on this list. This came out in XRAM. It's the first ever content drop adventure for Hearthstone. 5 mana, 5/5, neutral legendary battlecry. Enemy spells cost 5 more next turn. Just a great card to try and lock your opponent out, right? You flood the board with a bunch of stuff, you play Lotheb. Well, they don't have the spells to react, and especially back in the day, you didn't have rush minions and stuff like that to try and counteract. It was even more, or even hero cards or whatever. It was pretty rough, and it still is an absolute powerhouse in Wild to this very day. Disruption is powerful, and 5 mana make spells cost more is absolutely one of the best cards of all time. Like, this would be for sure in consideration for one of the best cards ever. And I always hear people like, oh, I want it in the core set. No, you don't. No, you don't. When Shadowstep and stuff is always there, because yeah, it can be a pretty frustrating card to face, but has always felt like that kind of good balance, right? Where it can do some really annoying stuff to lock people out, especially like repeated with like Shutterwalk style stuff, but overall doesn't get complained about much, even to this day. And again, has just avoided that bullet despite being a meta card for a very long time. And another card that I've played a lot of because I'm a degenerate toxic player is Flamewaker. After you cast a spell, deal 2 damage, randomly split among all enemies. This mage card, when coupled with the original Sorcerer's Apprentice, was just absurd. And you have like Quest Mage where you can take multiple turns with your Flamewaker and Arcane Giants, and this could just OTK. I think my most viewed video ever in Hearthstone. It's like a little, before shorts were a short thing on YouTube, like a little short thing where I did everything that's wrong in Wild in 1 turn, and Flamewaker was the big card that allowed that. Apprentice and cards like that got nerfed. This card just always seemed to dodge it, and has helped keep Blackrock Mountain as the only single content drop, so either adventure or expansion, to have 0 cards in it nerfed. Blackrock Mountain, the only one, and Flamewaker, I feel like, was awfully close a few times. Lastly, we'll leave off with the biggest powerhouse of them all, Boulderfist Ogre. 6 mana, 6/7, just incredible stats for the cost. No idea how it has lasted since day 1 at this like stat line. It's ridiculous. And the worst part about it, they actually buffed this card so that you could play like the Kingpin Pud and resurrect this as part of your Ogre gang. Like, he wasn't strong enough yet. For some reason, the devs have felt, nah, Boulderfist Ogre is fine, and you wonder why Hearthstone is the way it is today. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below what surprises you has never been nerfed throughout Hearthstone history. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day, and stay salty, my friends.